Hey guys, welcome back to the Bucket Think Tank for another round of Comic Corner, and we're going to get right into it with Nightwing issue number 96. So, if you recall last issue, Dick Grayson, Nightwing, made his big play against Blockbuster using his connections, using the Bat Family and the Teen Titans. They just shut down all of Blockbuster's operations, arrested his key figures, and just ended it. It's all done. Blockbuster, having had enough of this, decides to just, fight Nightwing and then find out that he's Dick Grayson. So, he's in a mood, and this huge fight begins to break out, while at the same time, Haven is under attack, and I'm like, okay, alright, so this is kind of it. It feels a bit off. It feels like there hasn't really been a back and forth between Nightwing and Blockbuster. Or even Dick Grayson and Blockbuster. But whatever. So it goes through, this fight ensues, especially since Blockbuster has found out that Nightwing is Dick Grayson, so the guy that he really wanted to stop trying to change Haven is also the guy that's been, protecting Haven, which is weird that he didn't quite figure that out, because so there's always a suspension of disbelief, but pretty much Nightwing and Dick Grayson are the same height, same hair color. As far as we know, their voices doesn't change. No one ever thinks about this as regular superhero stuff, but as opposed to, say, Superman and Clark Kent, or even Bruce Wayne and Batman, there's no real difference between their personalities. It's just Dick Grayson with a mask on. But whatever. So, Dick Grayson should be a little intimidated, a little worried, no, you know what? We're ending this here. And sort of the fight ensues. Bab's like, so, you alright down there? Need me to get help? They're like, no, just take care of the Haven and make sure that, the fires are put out. Luckily, the people of Bloodhaven, who despite being important to the story as the group that Dick Grayson wants to help, have been mostly uninvolved in this story. They have mobilized and are putting the fires out themselves. I don't see how much they're going to get done with just some buckets. But whatever. So they're like, you know what, so Batgirl and Batwoman okay, so we have to stop Blockbuster's men from going to help Blockbuster. So they go hold on. So here's what could happen. We could fight. You could fight us and get hurt. And batgirl slightly hurt us. Good bet, though, you're going to get hurt. But what if we showed you something to make you change your mind? So, Batgirl pulls out her tablet. I don't know why I can never just call them by the superhero names. I know them too well. That's the problem. She'll look at my tablet. Look at this. So, meanwhile, Nightwing finally sort of ends his battle with Blockbuster, pointing out that, men like him are the men he hates the most. They have all this wealth, all this power, and all they want is more. They don't try to make an impact on the world. And so, I think it would have been interesting if Dick Grayson sort of made a comparison between Blockbuster and Bruce Wayne. Two people that he's known and clashed with and disagreed with, varying degrees. And say, people like Bruce Wayne have all this money, have all this power. They can do anything, and they just want to make the world a better place. Alright? And beat up criminals. But all this stuff, everything wrong with Bloodhaven can be traced to Blockbuster. For the most part. So he's he takes the soul from people. The soul from this city. And he's made them afraid, but now no more. There's even a crunch scene. Love it. And he kicks him out. Love it. Really cool scene. There's also a scene where he hits him with a copy of Moby Dick, which is sort of interesting because Nightwing has wanted to take down Blockbuster, sort of his white whale, and at the same time, Blockbuster's wanted to kill Dick Grayson and Nightwing, so they've been each other's white whale this whole time, and yeah, there you go. And so then, he falls down, he gets up, the people of Bloodhaven you know what, get out of our town, turn around, Blockbuster, We don't want you in our town no more. So he goes to his people like, guys, help me out. And they're like, nah, man. No, see, we done found some stuff out. So Bloodhaven has the worst prison, apparently, in the country. Like, people, like, there's plenty of human rights violations there. People have died in there. And they found out that, hey, Blockbuster runs that prison. Everything wrong with that prison, everything has led to their friends being killed in there, being, horribly abused in that prison, is because of Blockbuster. It's like, you know what? No. I do like this scene. I do think this should have been maybe the Animus just destroy his entire organization. That Blockbuster's own henchmen do not realize how corrupt he is. That, like, yeah, knowing this, yeah, I'll testify. Whatever you need. But instead, no, they just go, leave him to dry. And, yeah. So, meanwhile, Batgirl goes up to see Nightwing, like, hey, buddy, how you doing? Boyfriend, girl, I don't know. Like, we're good, right? Like, we're gonna do it now, right? Or, like, whatever. He's like, no, I can't. They know that Nightwing is Dick Grayson. They know Dick Grayson is Nightwing. I can't be with anyone now. And I'm like, there's some merit to that, but you've also just defeated the guy who knows, and he's more likely going to be arrested or whatever. Babs like, nah, that's stupid. First of all, with superheroes comes with the job. Also, Superman, Superman, and both Clark Kent and John Kent have pretty much their identities known in the world, and they're fine. Well, Clark is currently off on War World. He'll be back soon, but, that's not going on. It's like, you know what? Nah, it doesn't matter. I'll be here, you'll be here. You have a right to be happy. Effectively sort of calling out the sort of relationship and atmosphere that he grew up with Bruce Wayne. That, you can't have it both ways. You can't both be in these very interesting and heartfelt relationships and at the same time, be a superhero. Like, there's too big of a risk to people. You have to sacrifice your own happiness to be a good superhero. There could be some merit to that. But Bab's like, no, you have a right to be happy. And the thing about Dick Grayson is he's always sort of been this person who wants to be happy and doesn't really let the job stop him from being happy. So this scene kind of works and doesn't work because in this sense, he's been put out in the limelight. Like, the separation of Dick Grayson and Nightwing has always been this sort of safety net for him if he wants to be in a relationship because no one knew except the people he wanted to know, which is actually most of the superhero community. But whatever. So Bab's like, you know what? It's fine. You and me, we're a team. Oracle and Nightwing, Batgirl and Robin, Dick and Babs. So they kiss. It's cute. Dick says the first time he's been truly happy in a long time. I'm guessing the other time was when he was all set to marry Starfire, and she left him at the altar. But, whatever. Meanwhile, Blockbuster's running around trying to make sense of his life, everything that's happened, and he's met by Heartless, who's like, hey, I'm back, and, I got something just to take your heart now. Yeah, I know you thought you killed me. I got better. I got a great health plan. It's called I Take People's Hearts. And, yeah, taking yours. And that's how this comic ends. So, ultimately, Tom Taylor's Nightwing is kind of anticlimactic. Primarily because there was rarely a moment where Nightwing was not really in control. I said earlier that he felt like the most protected superhero in the story because the Teen Titans came to help him out. He's got a speedster on his team. Batman has come to help him. He's got Oracle and the Robins to help him. Like, everyone's totally set to help him, and that's not bad. But at the same time, the tension is kind of gone because even when he gets like a moment when like someone goes missing, like his sister, that's quickly resolved. I'm like, where's the real tension here? It's like, oh no. Anyway, I don't know. It's not bad. Like, Tom Taylor hasn't written a bad story. Like, nothing here feels out of place, but the tension's kind of gone. He sort of seems to view Nightwing as a very highly capable superhero that maybe just has the best of everything in terms of what he can do. Or not, I don't know. Hopefully Heartless will finally put some tension on this, as Dick Grayson realized a bunch of people that someone's been taking the hearts from the homeless, and he's been unaware of it the whole time. Even the people of Bloodhaven seem to be unaware. Like, they don't care anymore. Like, yeah, someone's going around stealing hearts, but, we got a homeless shelter now. Next up is Dark Crisis. I think she'll be Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. Young Justice versus Everyone by Megan Fitzmartin. And, you know what? This story has gotten better. I will totally admit to that. It's had a very negative start. I felt that it didn't really felt like maybe we should have gone like a slightly different bit, like we should have built up to that negativity. But yeah, whatever. This is sort of what it's all been leading up to. This story here. So, Connor is the one that starts off. This is really a story. This issue is really just about the internal dialogue of all these characters and them sort of hashing it out with whoever is in the room. All right. So Connor, it feels like, you know what, things were better off, and things are better in this Earth here, this continuity. Like, no one dared mess with Young Justice back in the day, and here we're just kind of, we don't really matter. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, I get it, the cry for yesteryear, a better times. Connor wasn't dead before then, so I get where he's coming from, and he really wants to hammer home that maybe we should just stay here and just accept this reality. Tim Drake's not a fan of that. It's kind of it. And Connor's like, what if we just stop fighting? Because, this just keeps happening. What if we just stop fighting and just accept this is our reality? I'm like, all right, not very superhero-y, but okay. But anyway, we cut back to Titan's Tower in San Francisco, which, was this the one that got attacked by Deathstroke? So this happens before the event? If that's true, I don't know. I always forget where the Titan Tower is. But anyway, they mentioned that the Titan Tower has been destroyed. Stacey's like, well, why didn't anyone tell me? Like, because you weren't there. And finding out about the death of other people in the Teen Titans. And Sissy's like, well, why didn't anyone tell me? Why wasn't I made aware of this? And Cassie sort of lets her know, like, because you left. You left, and when I tried to talk to you, you didn't want to hear. All right, and she points out, when you left, yeah, sure, you left Connor and Bart and Tim, but you also left me. You also left your friend. All right? Because Sissy's complaint was just that it felt like a boys' club, and so she then left her other female friend and the other girls that were there too. So it just kind of didn't make sense. And Cassie points out that, when Connor left, I was devastated. And I couldn't even talk to one of my best friends about it because you just didn't want to hear it. All right? And that felt like that's something Cassie needed to say. That Cassie has spent a lot of time being sort of ignored. And even someone who's only read up to 2.5 volumes of Young Justice with Cassie, the fact that she's kind of an afterthought in Wonder Woman stories sort of hammers that home too, that she is kind of invisible. So, 12 hours later on the Invisible Jet, Sissy kind of wants to bring it up, but Cassie's like, you know what, it's fine, it's whatever. They see a bunch of space parasites, and they decide, well, let's investigate that and see if that can lead us to what's going on here. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of faded out by this point. Like, this story is really only important, like, the mystery is not as interesting as anything else going on here. But anyway, Connor sort of hammers on the fact, like, hey, weren't we all happier here? Like, wasn't everything better here? Like, Tim, I know you're happier here, because, no Damien and whatnot. This was a great time for you. Tim's like, I'm sorry, you, my best friend, was dead, right? Like, the person I talked about everything to was dead. I had to pick up the pieces. I even changed my suit to honor you, which is kind of one of the reasons why people think that I'm bisexual now. Because, yeah, which, I don't, it's debatable. Like, your best friend dies, what do? Change your suit to honor him. Date his girlfriend. You do a thing. He points out that, yeah, there were more problems going on here than just you had died. I had to deal with that. So this era wasn't that great for Tim. All right, it was nice for a while, but it wasn't all perfect. And then Bart finally gets his say. It's like, no, my turn to speak up. Yeah, we know. Connor died. It was terrible. All right, yeah, Tim kind of, sort of, not really died. It was terrible. But you know what else sucks? Is that after all this time, no one takes me seriously. All right, you don't confide me in anything. You don't treat me like a member of the team. I'm always the sidekick. I came from the future. I was lost. I had you guys. It felt like I was part of a team. And what happened? At some point, you guys decided I was just the cute sidekick. I was just someone that hung around and wasn't let's do it. It's always Connor and Tim and Connor, never Connor, Tim, and Bart. Tim, Connor, and Bart, never Bart first. It's always, hey, Bart's just happy to be here. He's treated like a sidekick. All right? And that's not fair. I'm like, okay. All right, we're really critiquing this era here in the atmosphere. And so back with this trio here. Sissy ends up getting attacked by the space parasites. Red Tornado saves them. Cat's like totally happy. And then they see something else. We'll never know what that is this issue. So, going on. So when they all kind of come together, the person behind this reveals himself. It is the son of Mixie's Pitlick. Alright? Mickey Mixie's Pitlick. And people are like, wait a minute. Hold on. Mixie's Pitlick did the deed? Alright. I mean, have you seen his wife? Yeah. Do it too. Or his girlfriend? Whatever. So he's like, you're going to stay here or your childhood's going to get even worse. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. So we saw him a couple issues, I think issue 2 in the Titans Mobile, and the Young Justice Mobile, whatever it was called. So we know he's sort of been behind this. But overall, this issue is all right. Is all right. I think the problem is the beginning was too strong of a critique of the earlier years. But as you go through, you sort of see that going back to the past isn't what these characters want. What they really want is to be able to do more. What they liked about that era was that they mattered. Like, Tim was the only Robin at that time. Connor was Superboy for that time. Bart was all set to sort of be some kid or actual Flash later. Then this era just kind of got forgotten when other characters came in. When Connor was killed, it felt like that era was done. Even Cassie was sort of kind of set to be Wonder Woman at some point. But all these plans just sort of fell through as DC moved forward with his own continuity. So it is sad in that way. They want to go back to that. This comic sort of points out, yeah, you know what, it wasn't all great. And I felt that maybe instead of going all the way to the beginning with Sissy and her critique of it, which felt like such a negative critique of it, like there was nothing good about that era. Instead focusing on the team dynamics and, hey, you know what, it wasn't all great. You guys didn't really seem to respect me. Connors really just wants to be back here because he was alive then and it mattered. To Tim, as fun as the era was, there was still a lot of dark and depressing things about it that he would like to move on from. So I'm like, okay, this means well. I just think this is a story that kind of needed maybe another editor too. Some people are saying Fitzmartin hates her customers. I don't think she does. We'll see at the end of the story. I don't really like to judge the intentions of a writer before the story is done unless it's just that terrible. She's also writing a Tim Drake Robin book, which I'm still debating whether or not I'll read because Riley Rosmo is the artist, and I just can't without art. I just can't. Like, if I can't enjoy looking at it, I'm not going to read it. And finally, we have another story. One I was excited about, One Bad Day by Marito Tamaki. And I wasn't excited about it because it was Marito Tamaki. While I don't dislike Marito Tamaki, her stuff in, I think it was Joker War and Fear State, and even Future State, were really good. But to me, all that really hammered home was that Tamaki is a really good team player for these books. And that's great. That's great. But so this One Bad Day story, like we talked about with the other one, this is very much a Bat villain-centric story. Set of one-shots about Batman villains. We just came off of one with The Riddler, written by Tom King, which is actually looking really good compared to this story here. But I was really excited because there are so many other villains besides the Joker that DC just sort of doesn't really deal with. Harvey hasn't had a really good story, if I'm remembering correctly, since All-Star Batman with Scott Snyder, and that honestly was, I think, the best story of All-Star Batman with Scott Snyder. Not the other ones were bad, but that one was really good. That one was really good. And so the question is, what story do you tell with Two-Face that hasn't been told before? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, Mariko Tamaki only half answers this question. So, this story is really about the question of who's who. And by that I mean, who is ever in control, Harvey Dent or Two-Face? There's always been this idea that there's two personalities inside. And Bruce is sort of wrestling with this, like he wants to bring out Harvey as the dominant personality, but then we cut to this story here, which I think is supposed to be Mayor Nakano. I'm not entirely sure, or this is just some kid that Two-Face has, and everyone's like, we gotta get Harvey to come out and do the right thing, and it doesn't work, so they arrest Two-Face. They always make that distinction. When they're trying to talk him down, they call him Harvey. When they arrest him, they call him Two-Face. So then in the present, which is something that doesn't make any sense to me, Mayor Nakano says, I need you to be the district attorney. I'm like, wait. So you're making Harvey Dent district attorney. Has he gotten his other personalities under control? If he hasn't, you just doomed us all. But anyway, he's just like, you get one chance. I'm like, what has made you give it? Was this in Mariko Tamaki's Detective Comics run? Look, I'll get to that run when I get to it. But this isn't going to make me do it. There's not even a reference to... Let's go back a step. There's not even a reference to when this could have happened. Or like when Harvey became someone you can trust. And like, what issue did this happen? Because now you just made Mayor Nakano look like a total idiot. Granted, it's Mayor Nakano. He's kind of an idiot. That eye patch just makes you think he's competent, but I don't know. Like Fear State is technically on Mayor Nakano's hands. But whatever. So anyway, later on, Harvey calls Batman and like, look, my dad's about to retire, like 88 years of age, which makes him the oldest living member of the Dent family, like in his entire history. I'm like, okay, that's cool on him. He got a letter saying, hey, this party will be your father's last, and he's like, you know what? I have a lot of enemies on both sides of the law, and I really don't want my dad to die. So he asks Batman, hey, can you look into this? Can you, like, make sure my dad doesn't die? And so instantly, the question I had, I think everyone who read this had, was, this is probably Two-Face. Because there's always been like this back and forth, and there's stuff that one personality does that the other isn't aware of. So this is technically a fun little red herring, but the problem is we all kind of guessed it. All right, we all kind of already had this idea in our mind, like, oh, this is Two-Face. That's kind of it. Two-Face is acting behind Harvey's back. And so Batman sort of reflects on the fact, a lot of people probably do want Two-Face dead. Probably do. He's pissed off a lot of people, and even just want Harvey dead. Like, the Falcones, thanks to the events of Long Halloween, the Falcones in part were taken down by a combined effort of Batman, Commissioner Gordon, and Harvey Dent. Joker definitely does, because, well, I'm working on a video series coming up soon. Involves Harvey and the Joker. So we'll see that, and of course, Two-Face might want to do, as well as the character Lockup. Well, I have no idea who Lockup is, but hopefully we'll find out soon enough. And of course, Renee Montoya. So one story that is mentioned here is the events of No Man's Land. And to sort of paraphrase the event of that story, Gotham City is divided in all these territories. Gordon has his own territory. Harvey has his own. It's just Harvey in that one. And Harvey and Gordon make a deal to take out some other people to sort of secure their own territory. And then, while they help out, Gordon then betrays Harvey's group, and then that leaves Two-Face to coming out, and it leaves Two-Face to kidnap Renee Montoya, who was really sort of getting to understand and believe in Harvey Dent. Also, Harvey Dent had a crush on Renee Montoya, but Renee's a lesbian, and that was just an issue for Harvey, whatever. But anyway, he kidnaps her, and they put Gordon on trial, and one of the most amazing moments of how messed up Harvey is, Gordon says, I need someone to defend me, and Two-Face, the prosecutor's like, alright, who's going to defend you? He says, I want Harvey Dent to defend me. And Harvey comes out and he makes a case in favor of Gordon. And Two-Face has to relent. I'm like, it's amazing how broken and damaged Harvey is. To think that happened. Even something like, say, the animated series, which had the Judge, a third persona in Harvey's head, that went around killing criminals, even tried to kill Harvey. But whatever. So yeah, Renee Montoya has a reason because, like, he framed her for murder, and I think also tried to kill her at one point. And of course, numerous members of the Bat family. I think Dick Grayson probably wants Harvey dead because there was a story where Harvey did the same, like, hey, someone's gonna kill this girl. She was like my ex. Then it turns out Dick Grayson, like, Two-Face had gotten Dick Grayson to try to stop Two-Face from killing the girl. And yeah, he didn't appreciate that whole little runaround. I wouldn't appreciate it either, but whatever. It was a good story written by Marito Tamaki. Really good story. So then Spoiler calls up Batman. Like, you know what? She sort of tries to point it out to us. Like, hey, you know what? Two-Face is Harvey. Harvey is Two-Face. Like, to her, and her understanding of it is, they're pretty much the same person. Like, there's no two personalities. They just sort of are. Like, Two-Face is also Harvey Dent. Harvey Dent is Two-Face. Alright, there's not really a second personality in this. It's not like this split. It's not like Yukimoto and the Pharaoh. All right, it's not like Bruce Wayne and Batman are like two different people. Like, no, Bruce Wayne is Batman, Batman is Bruce Wayne. Like, you know, that's kind of it. Bruce doesn't quite believe that to the same extent. But spoiler points out that, you know, a lot of people have died over this sort of weird understanding of trying to emphasize the idea that we have to get to Harvey. Harvey's the good one, and if we bring Harvey out, it'll be fine. How many people have died over this discussion? Spoiler makes a good point here, but Bruce also points out that he's aware of that, which I think is sort of where the problem comes from here. Like, so, what do we do with Harvey? Like, what? Is the understanding that Harvey is totally innocent? I don't know. But anyway, we get to meet Harvey's dad. He's a strict man, but he doesn't seem like a monster. He does seem to have a low opinion of Harvey, but considering the events of Harvey's life, like, I don't quite get how this universe reacts to Harvey and Two-Face. Are they understanding that he's better, so he doesn't have to spend time in prison? Like, if he's no longer insane, he should be going to Blackgate to finish out his sentence. He shouldn't be walking about, and he shouldn't definitely be made district attorney. Again, so, I don't know. I don't know. This is sort of the problem with the story. It's expecting a lot from us and from the readers and the in-universe to be pretty stupid. But anyway, the whole night happens. The whole shebang happens. Everyone feels good. You've got GCPD here. We've got the Bat family all around looking out, making sure everything's fine. And lo and behold, this all goes to pot. GCPD officers are missing. And turns out, yeah, the attempt to kill them is in the balloons. The whole plan is in the balloons. The cake says, "Happy birthday, Dad," from Two-Face. And I'm like, oh. So, yeah. Yeah, so they go in. It's Harvey. Oh, it's Two-Face. Two-Face messes up his dad's face with the acid, because that's originally what happened to Harvey. Someone threw acid on his face, and just like perfectly just got half his face. And if you listen to the Arkham City game, one of the thugs mentioned that Harvey's still beating the crap out of the guy that threw acid on his face while his face is melting. And I'm like, that is just intense. But anyway, you know, Harvey goes through. He wants to torment his dad, and Batman throws a batarang to stop it. And his dad is so messed up, so horrified by what his face looks like, he kills himself. And yeah, Two-Face goes to jail, and he's like, "Till next time, Batman." It sort of posed the idea that, as he points out, you know, Two-Face is Harvey Dent. Harvey Dent is Two-Face. Yeah, so which one's going to do what? And that's how this comic ends. So far, I did not think we would make one that is already inferior to Tom King's Riddler story, because I had a very low opinion of that story. But you know what? At least I didn't quite know what was happening. All right, that story's fine. It's Tom King's over-the-top dialogue and the fact that, you know, he hates his dad. Yeah, and Riddler hates his dad, which is kind of in line with Riddler. Riddler's always had a bad relationship with his dad, if I recall. But it's sort of just that story didn't work out, all right? There's some over-the-top dialogue, some characters act out of character, namely Batman. And this one has the same problem, but it's also predictable. Everyone kind of knew this other persona was going to do something. The trick is that the reveal is, well, you know, Harvey's Two-Face, Two-Face is Harvey. You know? I'm like, okay, so it's all just one personality. So the trick here is that Batman didn't realize that, or didn't want to accept the fact that, hey, there's no Harvey Dent as some person trapped in here. It's actually just Two-Face. Alright? There's no real secret to them, or maybe there is. We don't know. This story doesn't really give a definitive answer, or at least Two-Face or Harvey does. So it depends on if you still want to hold on to that. But again, everyone kind of knew this was going to happen. Everyone knew, oh, guess what? It was Two-Face. Shocking, isn't it? Marito Tamaki didn't reinvent the wheel with this. The sort of battle between Harvey and Two-Face has always been a thing. It turning out that, hey, Harvey is messed up because Two-Face, or is actually just messed up because of Two-Face. Like, Two-Face is really just sort of like a mask. It sort of gives Harvey a reason to be terrible. But the problem is, this entire story makes no sense. Maybe I've missed the point where Two-Face and Harvey are so well-adjusted and well-meaning that you could ignore their entire criminal record and just say, hey, you know what? Make him district attorney with a one-shot rule. I'm like, so what does that mean? If he does something wrong, he's back in Arkham Asylum? But if you already have a reason to put him in Arkham Asylum, shouldn't he still be in Arkham Asylum? Or in Blackgate? Like, if he's not crazy, he should be in Blackgate. If he is crazy, he should be back in Arkham Asylum. So this story doesn't make sense. Like, they understand that Riddler escaped Arkham Asylum, that no one could find him, and that he does this mysterious crime that no one quite understands, and that the whole story is finding out that Riddler's done playing this fun catch and mouse game, which leads Batman to killing the Riddler. You know, that premise is good. That's a really good premise. But here, I don't get it. Like, what's the bad day? Is this event the bad day? Like, Riddler's story was about the bad day that explained Riddler. Alright, they explained how Edward Nygma, or just Edward, became the person he is now. Nothing here explains Harvey. Harvey's dad seems to be a bit of a tight ass, but that's it. All-Star Batman sort of implied that his dad was abusive, but this story doesn't intimate that at all, nor does it even sort of hint at that. So, I don't know. This feels like another waste, but a waste for a different reason. Alright, Marito Tamaki had a great chance to explore Harvey Dent, to explore Two-Face, to explore that dichotomy, even explain it better. But he's the one person whose head we're not in. Alright? And maybe that was for the sake of the mystery. But even if you were to hear, like, if this story had been longer and we're trying to figure out, like, hey, maybe Two-Face is doing it, or then have the twist be that Harvey is the one that killed his dad. That, you know, Harvey is a good man, but his dad was that terrible to him. That the fact that, you know, he gets to retire happily and live longer than any other member of his family still kind of hits Harvey in some way, makes him feel a kind of way, especially if Harvey's dad was abusive and he never owned up to it and just got away with it. Yeah, that would be an interesting story, because at that point, are we saying that Two-Face is enabling Harvey's more violent outbursts because he's always had to keep that under control? In other words, what I'm really saying is there hasn't really been a good Two-Face story since, I think, Peter Tomasi was on the book with Nightwing. I don't remember his Two-Face story with Batman and Robin. I just haven't read it in a while. I'll go back to that. And Snyder's All-Star Batman is solid, does the job. But what was this? What potential did we decide to just throw away for this? I don't know. I've complained enough. I think I'm out of juice, too. So anyway, with that in mind, if you are new to the Bucket Think Tank, feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe, check out some other videos. What'd you think of this? Did you like it? Did you hate it? I'm looking forward to seeing what Heartless is going to do next. Hopefully he'll be important. How we're going to come to terms with these last two issues of Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths Young Justice. I don't know. Maybe it'll help set up Robin's own book, also written by Fitzmartin. Who knows? And hopefully the next One Bad Day will not be such a bad day. This is Bucket Think Tank signing off. Thanks for watching. As always, may your fandom serve you well.